op-ed piece co-written by LAPD Chief William Bratton is sounding an ominous warning tonight about the possibility, anyway, of a pre-election terror attack. Now, the U.S. hasn't seen a major terrorist strike since back on 9/11, but the Bratton piece warns that Osama bin Laden would try to influence the upcoming presidential election by striking out against America. The op-ed piece appears in today's New York Daily News, and it notes al-Qaeda's history of trying to influence elections, citing the Madrid train bombings, for instance. The chief's op-ed piece says, quote, if bin Laden wants to engineer a late October surprise here in 2008, an attack on a significant American economic target may be one of the most tempting opportunities he has had in recent years. One of his goals on 9/11 was to undermine our markets. He has bragged about what he calls the success of his bleed until bankruptcy plan.
Chief Bratton was appointed chief of the Los Angeles Police Department in October 2002. He oversees the third largest police department in the United States, with over 9,700 sworn officers, 3,000 civilian employees, and an annual budget of more than $1 billion. Crime in Los Angeles has been reduced to historically low levels since he has been chief of the police department. He's driving new initiatives in the department aimed at utilizing real-time information to further reduce crime, target gang violence, and mitigate the threat posed by terrorism. Chief Bratton is the only person to serve as chief executive of both the LAPD and the New York Police Department. He knows a little something about urban police departments. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in law enforcement from Boston State College, University of Massachusetts, and is a graduate of the FBI National Executive Institute and was the Senior Executive Fellow at the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. Please help me welcome Chief William Bratton.
There's an expression I think most of you have heard that may you live in interesting times. I believe it's Chinese in origin. Well, I think we can all agree that at this particular time in nation of our history, and indeed in all of our lives, whether you're 14, 15, or 16 as a young guest from various schools, or some of us that have a little more gray in our hair, that these are probably the most interesting times of most of our lives. We are a nation that's going through, and indeed a world going through some incredible stresses and strains. But here in the United States, in addition to our economic circumstance, we are engaged in 3 wars. We are engaged certainly in the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, but we are also engaged in a continuing war on terrorism that began really in terms of, for all of our awareness, on September 11th, and will continue, unfortunately, for the rest of our lives and probably for the lives of the children in this room.
Endless
That's
war.
The reality, the stark reality.
LA's top cop was talking crime today, and while Chief William Bratton tried to focus on a decrease in crime, the hot topic was a controversial article in which he said Osama bin Laden might try to influence the upcoming presidential election. CBS 2's Kirk Hawkins has more of this.
Thank you and good afternoon. Speaking before a group of small business leaders at this Town Hall Los Angeles luncheon, Los Angeles Police Chief William Bratton says crime in the city has dropped significantly over the past 6 years.
The good news is it is declining, and the better news is it will continue to decline.
Earlier this month in an editorial, Bratton wrote that he expects al-Qaeda to attack the U.S. in an effort to push the electorate toward Republican presidential candidate John McCain and away from Democratic presidential candidate Barack Obama. Bratton says it was not based on intelligence, but it was based on history. He says Osama bin Laden's similar statement before the last presidential election swayed voters to President Bush.
What I get paid to do is basically not only respond to what is in terms of intelligence, but also to basically try to do whatever we can based on our resources.
Bratton says he doesn't want residents to be paranoid, but he wants his police force to be ready for any potential threat.
It's not an issue of whether a terrorism attack will occur. We know that we will have another one at some point in time. So all the more reason to stay prepared.
Bratton says he is voting for Barack Obama and has even recorded some robocalls that have urged voters to pick the Democrat.
They have not actually made that robocall. They'll probably end up waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning with it, with just my luck.
And because of that, there is speculation that if Obama secures the presidency, that Bratton would head up the Department of Homeland Security. But today, he told us, he has no plans to leave Los Angeles. Outside Parker Center in downtown LA, Kirk Hawkins, CBS 2 News.
Moments answering it.
You're just so kind and generous.
You're so kind.
Okay, what to do for it? I think this is a new crew from the ones I talked to before lunch.
Chief Bratton, Jeremy Rothkushel with WeAreChangeLA Citizens Media. You rightly asserted that terrorism is really the most disruptive in terms of business, and as we saw after 9/11. Except for businesses like security, insurance, armaments, stuff like that. But you joined a real confusing litany of warnings last week that seemed to start with Kroll and Powell talking about an event that would happen on January 21st or 22nd, continuing with Joe Biden talking about a generated crisis, Madeleine Albright talking about a statement of fact, Chertoff talking about threats of terrorism, and then you finishing it off with a threat from bin Laden. I just talked to former case officer CIA Bob Baer a few weeks ago, and he asserted that he thinks that bin Laden is dead. Do you have a different intelligence, or are you doing a general overall analysis of what the threat is right now?
If bin Laden is dead, that's news, I think, to most of the intelligence community, with the exception of your source. So I don't know where he's getting his information. That's his belief, and good luck to him. But we're still operating, including myself, on the assumption that he's alive and well in the cave someplace, probably in Pakistan.
Okay, good. I take him with a grain of salt, always. And so the follow-up question on that is that there's the close collaboration with intelligence communities makes a lot of people concerned about the idea of covert operations, black ops, false flag terrorism. And we saw just the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Yemen, which Chertoff recognized Yemen as a troubling area in terms of terrorism. We saw that bombing on September 17th by Islamic Jihad with connections to Al-Qaeda was actually connected with Israeli intelligence. So do you have any concerns about our connections with Israeli intelligence or other intelligence agencies in terms of the long-known track record of doing covert operations and blaming them on Arabs?
I have no concern about our cooperation with Israeli intelligence. They are our allies. They are some of the best at what they do in the world. And that close relationship has been one of growing strength and importance. And my assumption is, whoever the next president is, that relationship with Israel and its intelligence community will remain the same.
Thank you. Other questions?
Chief John Lagarde with Los Angeles Downtown News. You mentioned the ramping up of your SARS system in the past few weeks. Can you tell us any more? Are there certain specific areas where resources are being focused that you're concerned about? This area, some of the studios?
Well, I suggest you can touch base with Mike Downey. Mike can be more than happy to talk with you. But certainly the financial community, in the sense of as shaken as that is already with the economic news we've all been looking at over the last number of months, that would be an area of concern. We have significant numbers of those entities here in Los Angeles. We would always be naturally concerned from an economic impact standpoint, our port and our airport. But let me emphasize once again that the article in the Daily News, the op-ed piece, that was not based on any intelligence that I'm aware of, and I'm pretty much aware of what is going on in terms of intelligence that for Los Angeles, or anything I'm aware of relative to a national threat from whether it's Al-Qaeda or any of the other entities that would seek to do this country harm. No, we just have a very good counterterrorism capability. We have developed what is going to be the national model, SARS, that Chief Downey and his people developed. We have the Archangel concept, which we also developed here in LA, which is the national model for the identification of what is a critical site and how do you analyze it for its deficiencies and improve those deficiencies. So what's the harm of making my officers aware that with the training they're receiving on the SARS system, which is the suspicious activity reporting system, during these couple of weeks of very heightened attention on what's going on in the United States, just pay a little extra attention to the things that we've outlined that might be potential for terrorist-related activity.
Why aren't you all asking these questions?